What's up, guys? JP back at you once again and bringing you guys part number 31 in my 2017/18 shelf by shelf series. And continuing along with these horizontal shelves, we have Warlock, which is actually a really solid movie. It's honestly like one of my favorite 80s flicks, and not a lot of people like it. Not a lot of people give it a chance either, but I've always really enjoyed it. I like the mythology in it. It's set up for the Warlock character, and Julian Sands is good as the Warlock. After that, we have Warlock 2: The Armageddon, also starring Julian Sands. This one's like much more of a fantasy flick and less of a horror flick, but it's still pretty decent. Kind of has like a love story angle to it as well. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's still pretty solid. After that, we have Warlock 3, The End of Innocence. This movie is awful, guys. Like, this movie birthed our Hall of Pain on the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. It's just not a good movie. It's very boring, very, very, very hard to watch. I don't like it at all. I truly hate that movie. After that, we have Welcome to the Jungle at Dimension Extreme. This one's actually pretty good. It's like a found footage cannibal film. Has a little bit of some sort of plot holes and convenience to it, but the characters act a little weird, like maybe how somebody wouldn't act in this situation, but it has actually some chilling moments in it. I like it. It's pretty good. After that, we have the director's Wes Craven. I've actually never watched this, but it's like a 60-minute documentary on Wes Craven, so eventually I'll pop it in. Maybe it'll pop up on a Horror 101 segment on the podcast or something like that. But I picked it up for, a buck or two, so, Wes Craven's master horror. When a Stranger Calls. This is the remake. Not the greatest movie in the world, but I like certain things about it. It has that mid-2000s quality to it that I've kind of gotten nostalgic for over the years, so that's pretty cool. After that, we have one of the films to kind of kick off the remake trend. I would say this film and TCM, which also came out in 2003, kind of were the first two major ones to kind of kick off that trend. Kind of a weird movie to remake. Crispin Glover is absolutely amazing in this movie. It has some CGI problems and stuff like that, but it's actually really solid. I've always been a fan of Willard. After that, we have The Willies, and The Willies is kind of a weird movie. It's an anthology starring Sean Astin. I think it was written and directed by Brian Peck, who was Scuzz in Return of the Living Dead. This cover is probably a little cooler than the actual movie. It's alright. It's not the best anthology, but it's solid. After that, we have Wishmaster 1 and 2, this old Artisan DVD double pack. I've had this for the longest time, and I'm a pretty big fan of the Wishmaster series, particularly 1 and 2. I think they're both pretty solid movies. I like the concept of, the be careful what you wish for, which is actually the tagline, oddly enough. You wish for something and then he twists it on you and makes it a crappy wish. And there's not too many genie horror movies either, so it's pretty cool. Wishmaster 3, Beyond the Gates of Hell. I don't really remember which one Wishmaster 3 is between 3 and 4. I can't remember which one's which, but they're not the best, and really what the biggest problem is they replaced the guy who plays the Wishmaster, and that kind of hurts the film a lot, but they still kind of have their qualities to it. I didn't think they were too bad. After that, we have Wizard of Gore, Another Dimension Extreme. I've actually never watched this. It's still sealed, but it also stars Crispin Glover and the Suicide Girls, which makes me want to check this out right now. Really like the Suicide Girls. After that, we have Wolf, starring Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer, I think. This was directed by Mick Garris. I didn't even know that. The movie, it was alright. Like, it's not the best horror movie in the world. It's like more of a thriller. It was okay. I haven't watched it in years, so I can't really tell you too much about it. After that, we have Wolf Creek. Unfortunately, I do not have the unrated edition here. I have the widescreen edition, so that kind of bums me out a little bit. I do really like this movie, though, so Glad to own it, but I eventually need to upgrade to that unrated version. After that, we have The Woman, back when Bloody Disgusting was doing their Bloody Disgusting Selects label. Probably the best film to come off of that label. This movie is pretty awesome, directed by Lucky McKee. It's based on a Jack Ketchum novel, which basically these people capture this wild feral woman and kind of torture her and do different things to her. Pretty messed up movie. Pretty cool. After that, we have a double feature here of The Woods, which I believe it might also be a Lucky McKee movie. Yeah, actually it is. That's odd. The Woods and The Craft. Both of these movies are solid. The Woods is decent, but The Craft is really awesome. I love The Craft. Made my top 10 in 1996. Just a really fun movie. Like, it's kind of a chick flick, but it seriously is awesome. Like, I love The Craft. Definitely check it out if you never have. After that, we have Wrecked, starring Adrian Brody. I've never actually watched this. It's one of those IFC Midnights, but apparently it's pretty solid from what I've heard about it. I think this one might have been based on a true story. I've never seen it, though. After that, we have Wrong Turn, and honestly, guys, when I first seen this back in like 2003, it actually scared the bejesus out of me, man. I was watching it late at night. I was home alone, and I live kind of in a wooded area, and it was just like, yo, this is some crazy stuff, man. It's just the scene where they're in the house trying to escape when all the mutants, redneck hillbilly things went to sleep, like, that was just so tense for me. The movie doesn't hold up quite as well as it did when I first watched it, but at the time I absolutely loved it. Then we have Wrong Turn 2 here, Dead End. I've seen this film a couple times. I've never watched this particular DVD, but Wrong Turn 2 is pretty awesome. It's I think it might be Joe Lynch's directorial debut. But yeah, it's a really fun movie. Kind of a little bit more over the top than the first Wrong Turn. Wrong Turn 1 was kind of grounded in reality. This one, a little more over the top, but still pretty badass, gory, lots of fun. After that, we have Wrong Turn 3, which is absolutely atrocious. My pap actually bought this film because he loved the first two, and he's not really a huge horror fan, but he, is like, he was a logger, so like I think maybe it's like because they were set in the woods or something, and he liked the first two, so he bought this. And me, him, and my friend was staying over, and we bought it, $20, brought it home, and we were just floored with how bad it was. It was so bad. It was like awkward bad. I've never revisited it. I just have no interest in ever seeing Wrong Turn 3 again. It's so awful. After that, we have Wrong Turn 4, which is a prequel to the Wrong Turn series, and actually isn't too bad. It definitely has that low budget feel to it, but is pretty solid. Way better improvement from Wrong Turn 3. After that, we have Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines, which I've actually never seen. This one, I think it's set on Halloween. I'm not 100% sure, but I heard that it's, not as bad as Part 3, not as good as Part 4, and nowhere near the first two. So, somewhere towards the bottom. After that, we have Wrong Turn 6, Last Resort, which I've actually never seen either. I know when this film initially came out, it got pulled from shelves because of some reason, so that's kind of weird. I know this is like the reissue that I have here. But yeah, Wrong Turn 6. Eventually we'll probably cover them on the podcast. After that, we have Zodiac, which I absolutely love. This is a great movie. Every time I watch it, it's very long, but like, you just are so enthralled with what's going on that you're like, man, dude, Zodiac is such a good, well-made movie. Was this Zack Snyder, I believe? Or no, David Fincher, yeah. David Fincher directed this one. Really solid serial killer thriller. After that, we have the Zombie Pack, containing Zombie 3, Zombie 4, After Death, and Zombie 5, The Killing Birds. Now, I think I've seen Zombie 3 and 4. I'm not 100% sure if I've watched Zombie 5. I don't think that these movies are overly good. I mean, they're kind of a big step down from Fulci's Zombie, but there's a cool little 3-pack there. After that, we have Zombie Strippers, which I've never got around to checking out, but it has, who is that, like Jenna Jameson or something? And, you know, has some strippers and zombies and stuff like that. I'm sure it's a pretty fun time. Then we get to the multi-packs. So we have the 20 movie horror film pack here. I got this for my birthday from a cousin one time. And believe it or not, I've actually watched every single movie in here. Clown, don't remember it. Fear Chamber, don't remember it. Curse of the Wolf, don't remember it. Netherworld, don't remember it. Keepsake, don't remember it. I do remember Dog Graveyard and Venom, but I'm not going to go through the entire thing. But yeah, I mean, I watched every single movie in here. There's some full moon movies in here. And yeah, it was, you know, ups and downs. Nothing amazing in here, but there was a few surprises actually. So it was back when I didn't have a ton of DVDs and I had pretty much watched everything in my collection. I was down to this, so I was like, let's just watch them all. After that, we have the Killer Curses here. A couple of repeats that were in that previous one. Such a weird random mix of movies, but it has one notorious movie, and that's Beneath the Mississippi, which in my opinion is the worst horror film I've ever seen. It is absolutely atrocious, so don't watch that ever. After that, we have the 70s drive-in horror double feature. I actually won this on a podcast a long time ago. Has Ruby and Kiss of the Tarantula. I think Ruby was like kind of a Carrie ripoff, and Kiss of the Tarantula was kind of cool. I know one of them was like set in a drive-in theater, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I don't really remember them, but I think they were alright. After that, we have the 6 movie pack here from Lionsgate. It has Blood Diner, Parents. Both those were recently released on Vestron. Earth Girls Are Easy, Sundown, Fido, and Boyd's Girl. I've only seen Blood Diner and Parents, and I haven't seen Parents since I was a kid, so I mainly got this pack for Blood Diner. This was actually the first official DVD release for Blood Diner. And then here we have Stephen King's Storm of the Century. This is the one with all the other films on it. I've talked about that. After that, we have the Funhouse, Phantasm 2, Serpent and the Rainbow, and I have all these on Blu-ray except for so I've kept this DVD specifically for which I hate saying the title, but I actually enjoy the movie. I seen it on TV when I was a kid. After that, we have the After Dark Horror Fest 3. Yeah, these need a Blu-ray release really, but Autopsy, The Broken, Slaughter, Butterfly Effect 3, Perkins 14, Dying Breed, Within, and Voices. I've actually never seen a single film on the third set. After that, we have a 4 film pack here. We have Wolfen, Body Snatchers, Coma, and Bad Moon. I've seen Bad Moon and Wolfen, I believe. I haven't seen the other two. But I do like Bad Moon. Pretty solid. Then we have made-for-TV disasters, Flood, A River's Rampage, Aftershock, Earthquake in New York, and Tornado. I think these are like TV movies from the 80s and 90s, and I actually really like those old disaster movies that were made for TV. I used to watch them all the time when they came on. After that, we have a 4 film pack here, Dracula's. Some Hammer horror here. Horror Dracula, Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, Taste the Blood of Dracula, and Dracula AD 1972. I've only seen Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, but I do really enjoy it. After that, we have an 8 film pack here from Lionsgate, and it has Waxwork, which was released by Vestron, 976 Evil 2, which I assume is coming up soon, from Vestron, Ghoulies 3, The Unholy, which has a Vestron release, Chud 2, which has a Vestron release, Chopping Mall, which has a Vestron release, Slaughter High, which has a Vestron release, and Class of 1999, which has a Vestron release. So the only 2 left are 976 Evil 2 and Ghoulies 3. So we'll see what's going on with Vestron. After that, we have a Blue Underground 3-pack here, A Blade in the Dark, Macabre, and Mario Bava's Shock. I've only seen Macabre, which... who did that? Lamberto Bava? Yeah. Which was pretty cool. Had an interesting scene in it. And finally, for this part, guys, we have the Psycho Killer pack put out by Shriek Show. This is like one of the only Shriek shows I own besides that zombie pack. But we have Delirium here, House on the Edge of the Park, which is why I bought this, and Beyond the Darkness. I absolutely love House on the Edge of the Park. And that movie is from Ruggiero Deodato. And boy, that movie is a awesome David Hess performance, kind of like a better version of Last House on the Left, honestly, and he pretty much plays the same character. But yeah, great movie. I love that cover too. The cover art to that movie is awesome. But anyway, that is it for part number 31, guys. I will see you in part number 32.